Welcome back to Range Anxiety TV, and for those of you that watch carefully, you would have noticed last time I left my plant out. So welcome back to Ponce the plant. He's my favourite. We're very green around here at Range Anxiety TV, as you may or may not have noticed. And today we're going to talk about something, a car that my wife Lisa D refers to as Tic Tac eyes. That's right, the Rivian. Cars, cool cars, I like them. R1S and R1T. The R1S is the SUV with the notchback, and the R1T is the truck. Who would have thought? Great naming conventions, those. But overall, they were the first truck to market that was an electric truck in the US, and they've been pretty convincing for a startup. Rivian have done a really, really good job, but their time may be coming to an end. Very unfortunately. I mean, they've been losing money on $30,000, $40,000 a truck for forever, for the last 2 or 3 years that they've been around, 2 years, I think. But they're a really cool product. They're not controversial because their CEO is not a sort of, hi Elon. Well, he's not Elon. And I think that's in some ways a good thing, but he seems like a clever guy and got their factory in Normal, Illinois, fully American-made unit, working really well. Look, they have their struggles. They're expensive, but they seem to be fast. They seem to be reliable. However, the service network is a little bit, and they look good, like I found some with stripes on them there. And, I really like them, even though they do have Tic Tac eyes. What's some other great things that they've got? Like their software and their UI in the interior is really quite compelling. Heaps better than most European brands, to the point where Volkswagen have invested money in them to do software for them. This is how good the Rivian UI is. So, hats off to them. It is a very good product. I would like one. Absolutely. They're fast. They're cool. They've got Tic Tac eyes. All of that sort of stuff. I would have one in a heartbeat, but, of course, in Australia, we can't get such things. And interestingly enough, they just outsold Tesla last quarter in the luxury market, which means they sold more Rivians than SX and Cybertruck combined, which is a really, really good sign for Rivian. However, I told you the signs aren't always good. Since the outset, since they were publicly floated, you can see the share price has sort of been on a steady decline, and that's because there are production realities. This stuff isn't easy, and investors are like, will they survive? They're burning cash, but they are just starting to turn a gross profit margin, like a positive margin on their vehicles, which is really, really good, which is something they were never able to do before. They promised it by mid this year, I think, and they have delivered. So, they are they're starting to make profit. Obviously, there's a lot of money yet to go into infrastructure and a lot of CapEx, capital expenditure that they've got left to do, but they're starting to turn the corner financially. Pretty cool. I mean, they've just released the 4 quad motor version, which does like tank turns and all sorts of, stupid party trick stuff, but is also very fast. It's a 10.5 second quarter mile pickup. It's killer. However, they didn't upgrade the thermal management or the charging much other than a native NACS port. So, if you drive it hard, there are a few limiting issues there, but most people are just going to be, either towing with it or traffic light Grand Prix or doing those stupid turns in the dirt. Most normal folk won't run into problems in that regard. But where they're, in trouble, and when you look at their stock chart, is that the Republican President, Donald Trump, has just removed at September 30 the $7,500 tax credit for EVs if you're of a certain income level, and more of this next episode, by the way. But however, if you're of a certain income level, you can claim $7,500 straight off the price of the vehicle. And there was a loophole that allowed them to roll this into leasing, which made buying something like a Rivian really, really attractive, right? and that's just been removed, which effectively bumps the real world cost of the car on a lease right up. So Rivian are going to have up until September 30, they might sell all right, but after that, I think they're going to be in serious trouble. The stock price will come down further, unfortunately, and it will hurt them long term. Will they survive? Hard to tell, but with the R3 coming out, which would have to be my favourite little electric hot hatch that's, on the promise, with the R3 coming out, it would be a shame if Rivian didn't exist, because they're a great company, make a great product, and I don't care what anyone says, that little R3 looks like a firecracker, and it's not scheduled for another 12 months yet. So if we don't see that, that will be a real shame. And let's face it, we need more competition. We need more diversity in this electric vehicle market. We don't need to see cool startups go down the drain, which many are going to now, thanks to these new government policies. And it's just it will be a sad time if Rivian don't survive. Is it Rivian or Rivian? It's like Evian, like French for water. It would be a really sad time. So let's get behind Rivian from France and hope that they survive. And thank you once more for watching Tic Tac Eyes and listening to Range Anxiety TV.